Do we have an awesome modern deck in store for you today? For less than $30, you can play one of the wonkiest modern decks out there with a hilarious combo and totally dumpster competitive decks by winning the game out of nowhere. $30, tons of fun, embarrass your friends, what could be better? Probably nothing. We're going to tackle the crap out of the blue-red colorless bounce combo. Just so you know, we're on the up and up. In regards to the price of the deck, we'll be using card prices from tcgplayer.com throughout the video to show you we mean budget business. And if you end up wanting to purchase any of the cards in the deck or see the deck list itself, click the first link in the description. Helps us out a lot. So without further ado, let's do this. I'm so excited. The goal of this deck is to win the game on turn 4. Yes, it's possible. Instead of starting with lands like we usually do, we'll begin with the combo pieces themselves to show you what's up. Nettle Drone is one of our all-stars, and everything starts with this little menace. Power and toughness doesn't matter. All we care about are the abilities. You can tap it to deal 1 damage to each opponent, and whenever you cast a colorless spell, you untap it. Next, we have Retraction Helix. Lets you target a creature, and until end of turn, it basically has the ability to bounce whatever you want back to its owner's hand. Then, let's add something interesting like a welding jar. 0 mana artifact, you have Nettle Drone in play, cast Retraction Helix targeting the Nettle Drone, tap it to deal 1 damage to the opponent, play your 0 mana welding jar, it's a colorless spell so your drone untaps, then you tap the drone to return the welding jar to your hand, play it again, it untaps the Nettle Drone, you can do this forever. Now the previous combo, while cool, is completely futile without another piece, so say hello to Molten Nursery. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Since you're casting Welding Jar literally a billion times, Molten Nursery gets to trigger on each of those casts, effectively doming your opponent to Kingdom Come and winning the game. Hilarious combo, right? It's genius. You can also straight up win the game with a pair of Nettle Drone instead of just 1. You use 1 drone to keep returning the 0 mana artifact, and the other to just ping your opponent until they're dead, as both will untap when the jar is cast each time. Alright, to review, we have our primary linchpin card in the deck, the Nettle Drone, entirely necessary for us to do anything. We needed to have that powerful untap trigger for our Retraction Helix to matter at all. Then we have the Welding Jar to trigger the drone infinitely once it has the Helix on it, and finally the Molten Nursery or a second Nettle Drone to end our opponent's life quickly, painfully, and embarrassingly. So where do we go from here? Well, it's a combo deck. We need more redundancy and insurance than you can shake a stick at. So that's what we'll be filling the rest of the deck with. Straight up consistency. Tastes good. We have our Nettle Drone, which is awesome and great and wonderful. However, sometimes the drone is going to die or you won't draw it. You can't possibly hope to pin this entire strategy on one playset. Enter Battered Golem, another cheeky creature that untaps whenever an artifact enters the battlefield. Since we only care about bringing in 0 mana artifacts, the fact that its trigger and the drone's trigger aren't identical is functionally meaningless. Both of them are going to untap whenever the jar hits the battlefield, which is all we really need from them. 8 Helix targets is better than 4. Adding more redundancy to the list, did you know that Retraction Helix is a straight up copy of Banishing Knack, a common printed back in Eventide? I know, right? Where do people find these cards? Anyways, the Helix is a necessary part of the combo, so having another card that is literally the exact same thing, there's no better than that. Just like the Drone and Golem, double the Helix, double the fun. We're not done with redundancy, so we've effectively doubled our available trigger creature and our available combo enabler. Good start, but some Molten Nursery and extra drones are not enough to guarantee victory. We need something more. Say hello to Altar of the Brood. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent mills 2. This is exactly what we need. Remember, our combo is predicated on us bouncing and recasting the jar a billion times. When that jar enters the battlefield, each time that jar enters, that's another 2 cards from our opponent's library. This doesn't deal infinite damage, but it sure runs them out of cards right quick. Another form of redundancy, particularly effective against decks that can somehow avoid dying to damage. So again, we've now helped shore up our original trigger creature, our enabler, and our win condition. That leaves one more piece, the 0 mana artifact. Now there are plenty of 0 mana artifacts in Modern, like there are more than you might think, but choosing the best one took some testing. And while there were a few good options, none of them brought the upside that Tormod's Crypt brought. 0 mana artifact, great. Comes with Graveyard Hate built in, the dream. Not only is this going to be another piece of our combo, but it can also function as a crazy good mainboard hate card against the annoying graveyard-based decks running around right now. And if you win with Altar of the Brood, this can help keep your opponent from doing anything too stupid with their yard before they die. Tormod's Crypt comes with a crapload of upside for basically no cost. We needed a 0-mana artifact anyways, so boom, done. Man, I really like this deck. So we have all the backups that we need, mostly double playsets of all of our pieces. That leaves us with 8 non-combo related spots in the deck. What do we use those for? Insurance and consistency, of course. We're running 4 Serum Visions, which by the way, are the most expensive cards in the deck, accounting for more than 1/3 of the entire deck's cost. But it is well worth it. Serum Visions is our best bet for consistency. There just aren't better early game draw options in Blue and Modern right now. Sad? Yes. But still a truth we have to deal with. Serum Visions as a playset is going to help us bottom redundant copies of the combo cards we already have and search up the ones we need. Since there aren't any cards in our deck that shuffle our library, everything we bottom is probably gone for good unless our opponent does something cheeky. And while yes, it is relatively expensive for the deck, trust me, you need Serum Visions, you really do. The last non-land card in the deck is Dispel. This is our last piece of insurance. Based on how our combo wins the game, we can only afford to combo out on our turn. Can't exactly play Welding Jar at flash speed normally. Since we're exclusively going off on our own turn, Dispel is going to be able to deal with 99% of what we come up against in that situation. A simple, cheap protection spell that provides the last bit of insurance and resilience we need for our deck to be somewhat competitive. All that's left are the lands. As you can see from the deck itself, we're running a blue-red deck, so the colors aren't all that difficult to get right. We've included both Shivan Reef and Swiftwater Cliffs. These are the best budget options we could muster. The Cliffs, while entering the battlefield tab, do give us a bit of life to work with in hopes we'll have more time to get our combo online, especially against more aggressive strategies. Shivan Reef is just a blue and red mana source that enters the battlefield untapped. Can't really pass that up when it's barely $2 each. Sure, it's another $8 in the deck, but the consistency in the mana base, well worth the cost. The rest of our 21 land spread is made up of 8 islands and 5 mountains, easy enough. So let's take a look at what we have going on here. The goal is to get a Nettle Drone or Battered Golem onto the battlefield, step 1. Step 2, find a 0-mana artifact, either the Crypt or Jar. Step 3, find a Helix or Knack, doesn't matter which, in order to start our infinite recast cycle. Helix on the drone, tap it to return the Welding Jar to your hand, cast the jar, drone and taps, rinse and repeat. Then all you need is an Altar of the Brood, Molten Nursery, or second Nettle Drone. Once you have any combination of those 4 pieces, you're ready to go to town. It helps to have a Dispel as backup once you're ready to go off, but if your opponent's shields are down, go crazy. Now that you've seen the combo, let's chat for a second. The deck has the ability to win on turn 4. Turn 3 for your drone or golem is necessary since there isn't any type of ramp in the deck naturally. Earlier than that, you can drop your Altar, turn 4 you can drop Molten Nursery and have enough mana left over to Helix, but here's what I suggest. If you have Dispel in hand, wait until your combo is ready to go and you have enough mana for Dispel backup, unless your opponent is straight up tapped out and you know there isn't anything they're going to be able to do. Then, obviously win the game. But if they have untapped mana, and you need to be ready for some interaction, it is well worth waiting a turn to get a shield of your own. This combo is fragile, yes, but it's also effective, and will take many players by surprise as they're just not expecting something like this to try to win the game early. But again, if you have Dispel, do whatever you can to keep it active. Trust me, you're gonna need it. If this deck is something that you'd be interested in taking to your local F&M for some modern awesomeness and want to upgrade it, I got your back. Of course you'll want to start with the lands. Swiftwater Cliffs and Shivan Reefs become Steam Vents and Scalding Tarns. The best part? That's basically it. The combo is so tight that these cards are specifically what you need to make it work. It's not that there are better cards we're avoiding, there just aren't other cards to put in. I mean, if you wanted to be super cheeky, you could use Mox Opal for the other 0-mana card in addition to Welding Jar, which sometimes might lead to you generating a billion mana, but the upside on Tormod's Crypt is just so much better and helps your consistency a lot dealing with opposing strategies. The fact that Metalcraft is never going to be guaranteed for you turns me off from this plan. Lastly, when building your sideboard, go for generally good blue-red stuff to start. I'm talking Shattering Spree, Negate, Hurkyl's Recall, Blood Moon if you have any. You know, the normally good sideboard cards for Modern. Well, what do you think? You gotta admit that's a pretty cool combo, right? And for less than $30, you can build the entire thing right now, take it to your F&M and sandbag everyone. That's the real dream, isn't it? So again, if you want to see the entire deck list or order any of the pieces online, you can do so by clicking the first link in the description. Super easy. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.